Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Lily Allen Duenas. Together we'll talk about the world of yoga and we'll talk to people from around the world. Before diving into the episode, I wanted to invite you to head on over to my website, wildyogatribe.com. I would really love for you to give it a look as I just launched a new website and I would love to hear what you think of it. Feel free to reach out on social media wherever makes the most sense for you. Also, if you're a longtime listener, I wanted to say thank you for your continued support. And if you feel called, I'd be honored if you left a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you tune into the show. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Namaste, family, and welcome back to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Today, I am excited to welcome Cori Giunti onto the show today. She's a yoga teacher from Argentina, a Kundalini yoga instructor who's been an active practitioner for 9 years. And she did her yoga teacher training in Argentina as well. She's also a psychologist, and her passion is to serve people in order to feel good, get better, and become more connected and more conscious. So thank you so much, Cori, for being on the show today.
I'm excited. Thank you, Lily, for having me here. It's my first podcast, so I'm so excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be with you. And just to start off the show together, could you tell our listeners how you first heard about yoga and how it first came into your life?
Yes, it's very interesting because by the time I started practicing yoga, I was pregnant from my second child, and I was looking for something like a spiritual practice. Being a psychologist, I've done a lot of techniques and clients and patients, but in this case, I was looking for something deep to process my own issues and emotions. That's why I started with yoga. I try different type of yoga, but Kundalini in particular make me feel more calm at the beginning. That's why I started and I keep doing it and I keep practicing. So that's why Kundalini is so important for me, because it's an holistic philosophy about our unique health. It involves learning to be calm and relax. When you do that, your body can heal itself. So it's a connection, mind and body for me. That's why I trust so much and I share with people.
Wow. And for Kundalini to come into your life, was it just offered at a studio that was close to where you lived or you worked? Or did you really have to discover Kundalini, doing more research and really searching and seeking out a studio that offered that?
It's close to home. Yes, it's in the neighborhood, but in that studio, they offer a lot of type of yoga. So that's why I try Hatha, Vinyasa, and then Kundalini, also Iyengar, but this one was near my home.
Wonderful. And for our listeners who maybe aren't familiar with Kundalini, that maybe they've never heard of it or ever practiced it, could you tell them a little bit more about what Kundalini is?
Yes. Kundalini is a form of yoga that involves chanting, singing, breathing exercise, and repetitive poses. Its purpose is to activate your Kundalini energy, which is the spiritual energy that is said to be located at the base of your spine. So that's why Kundalini is also called yoga of awareness, because we try to awaken that energy that sits in the base of your spine. Sleeping with the practice, exercise, and breathing techniques, we activate that energy, which allows it to move up and through the chakras along your spine, helps balance these chakras and contribute to your wellness. So it's basically an holistic approach, because we work in the nervous system, our digestion. It also makes us relax, be calm. It has a lot of benefits. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. And so it's a practice that incorporates not just the asana, right? Not just the physical pose. So if you go to a Kundalini class, you wouldn't just be doing the posture part of yoga, correct?
Exactly, exactly. That's different from other type of yoga. That's correct. Kundalini is spiritual. It still involves physical movement, but they are in the primary focus. Kundalini is more precise and repetitive, and that's why it includes a lot of mantras, the chanting, the singing, and with the breathing techniques and the movement. So that's correct.
Amazing. Yeah, I've practiced Kundalini just 2 times before at a yoga barn in Ubud in Bali. And so it was a really energetic experience. Even though it is calming, it is relaxing. So much of it was with our eyes closed and focusing on different rapid breathing or slow breathing and the mantras. So I think it's a very spiritual and involves your energy bodies at a different level, which was really special. So, Cori, I'd love to ask you, what made you want to teach yoga and to teach Kundalini yoga?
Because through yoga, I've been able to help people as I do as a psychologist, being of service. It helps people cope with depression, with anxiety, with trauma, and it helps a lot to be aware of your body, your sensations, and the connection mind and body. It's really important for people to recognize the importance to be connected. So it's something that I trust. Psychology is something that recommend because we need to practice every day in our health well-being. It's not just do workshops, learn some techniques and go home. It's a compromise with ourselves to do it every day or regularly. That's why I teach it.
I agree that it is that promise you make to yourself to practice regularly or to practice every day. I know that's something that it feels like if you practice yoga or if you're a yoga teacher, everyone's so curious about how do you practice every day and or how do you want to practice? It's something that I always laugh at and enjoy answering because I think a lot of showing up on the mat or showing up on the meditation cushion, you don't always want to do it, but some days you need it months in a row. You just are just overjoyed to come to the mat and to come to the cushion. But then there can be a whole month where there's resistance, there's fatigue with the seasons, with stress, with our lives, with work, personal, professional. But no matter what, it's that honoring the commitment that will show up, even if it's a shorter practice or instead of just doing a long practice with asana and pranayama and all the elements, maybe instead we're just doing om chanting for 10 minutes. I think we need to honor our cycles. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because it's like you said, it's a commitment with ourselves because we are automatic with our old patterns that sometimes or most of the times doesn't make us feel good. Our body and mind needs new information, a new programming about how we think or whatever we want to do, or to be more creative also. So it's a really important commitment to ourselves and not look outside all the time. All the questions could be answered inside ourselves. So most of the time we ask, even in the therapy sessions, I realize that people want an answer, but the answer is, I don't have that answer. That answer is inside themselves. So that's why I'm teaching it and I try to spread out why yoga is good for yourself, good for your health.
Yes, yes, it is. And so I was wondering, how does yoga impact your life? Is there something, some gifts it has given you, or some challenges it has helped you overcome? Or for your patients as well, if there's something you would like to share that doesn't have to do with yourself, that's okay as well.
So, as a psychologist, I realized that the connection mind and body it's really important because sometimes we try to work with our mind to get better, but sometimes if we move our body, we can work through your body for your better mind. So sometimes in trauma, there's a lot of disconnection about mind and body because trauma is not what happened to you, is trauma is what happens inside you as a result of what happened to you. We try to get into your body and where is settle all the emotions that we block in the past. The breathing becomes shallow, they become tight and frightened about their feelings inside. So we working, doing or practicing yoga, we can go to those places that even we don't know hurts. There's a psychiatrist called Basil van der Lock. He's the author of The Body Keeps the Score.
I love that book. That is a powerful book.
And he examined how trauma affects the brain and the body and looks at a lot of treatment, including yoga. So he said that doing yoga in groups may activate the mirror neurosystem of the brain, which is a system damaged by trauma. So practicing yoga meditation in groups might give people a deeper sense of belonging. So that's why it's very, very important to be in a group. If you can't go in a studio and you do it at home, it's okay also. It's fine. It's better than nothing. But being a part of a group also help us to keep the habits and continue with it.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought up that book because it was very transformational for me as a person who has wounds and issues and traumas, but also as a yoga teacher, because as you said, Bessel van der Kolk directly talks about how yoga itself is transformational for his patients and the people in his studies. It's really enlightening. And if any of our listeners are looking for a good book, I'll make sure to link that in the show notes so you can find it on Amazon and give it a read and give it a look because there's a lot in it. And so, Cori, since we're talking about how yoga can help people process trauma, is this something I know as a psychologist and as a yoga teacher, when you, oh, and you're a coach as well, do you feel like you're able to incorporate yoga and embodiment into people's healing journeys in your practice? Or is that something there's maybe some resistance to with your clients in Argentina? I'd love to hear more.
Argentina, let's talk about our country. Therapy here is a big part of our life. The country has the highest number of psychologists per capita in the world. It's the people doesn't get embarrassed about saying I'm doing therapies, I go to the psychologist. In this way, going or doing yoga and all the alternative therapies is very common here and it's growing and it's getting after the pandemic also it seems like it's growing so fast.
Yeah. So do your clients like to use yoga and talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, or if they like to use it together, or if that's something work with your clients directly to do?
Nice question. It depends, but therapy is most of the time is a place where we share our thoughts and sensation. We talk. Sometimes we do some breathing techniques or uh, exercise. It depends, but I recommend to do something else outside the therapy session. That's what I try to transmit my patients, that not all what we have can be solved in the session. That's what I think. It's you need to work with your body, that connection, mind, body, spirit. And so imagine that trauma involves a lifelong pushing down, a tremendous waste of energy, and not to feeling the pain. So when we heal that same energy, we liberate that energy. So the energy of the trauma can be transformed into the energy of life. It's something like it's available. Otherwise, you are blocked, you close down, you are not open. You know what I mean? So we practicing with the exercise, and could be mindfulness, could be any type of meditation, could be any type of yoga. We need to be more aware that we need to do something about what happened to us in the present moment. On the other side of trauma is resilience. Resilience on the other side of pain is wisdom. On the other side of depression is your most vibrant expression of self. On the other side of your blocks are your opportunities. So if we understand that, when I discovered yoga for myself, I got that deep feeling that I was thinking, the way I'm living, I don't like it. I need something like to relax, to stop my thoughts, stop my inner conversation that's most of the time are painful. All the past that I didn't know how to put it inside to understand. I need something like to take out all the toxin and dirtiness. That's the most important part of having a practice, that you can go wherever you feel you need it. That's why I'm trying to make people more aware of that.
Oh, thank you for that. And thank you for your work doing that. It's so vital. And I think what you said about on the other side of depression is our most vibrant expression of life. And on the other side of our blocks is our opportunities. I thought that was so gorgeous. And I'm going to make sure to quote you on that in the future, because was so beautiful, Cori. Thank you for saying it that way. And I wanted to ask you too, what is your personal definition of yoga? What is yoga for you?
Yoga for me, it's the real connection with myself, mind, body, beyond. It's a place where I feel safe, where I can put all what I had and feel secure about it. I trust my feelings, sensations, emotions, and I live with all of that. It's acceptance about me, my body, what I am, and it's bringing me a lot of calm, deep sense of relaxation physically, but it creates more space for mentally spirituality. So the sense of openness, to be more open, to more available, I can't describe it that well, because all we live inside, sometimes you don't find the right words, but you feel a lot of love when you practice it. You feel love about yourself, love about others, love about life, love about even your pains.
I agree. I agree. Very moving, and a lot of beautiful things like safety and love and that sense of vast openness. Also, I would love at this point to ask about yoga in Argentina. I know I was amazed when you said there's more psychologists per capita than any other country in the world in Argentina. But in terms of yoga, is yoga practiced all over Argentina, or only in big capital cities, or only in anything you have to share about yoga in Argentina? We're all ears.
All over. It's all over the country. After pandemic, like I said, it grows so fast. So you can find it online also, but every part of our country, there's a yoga studio. And also there's a lot of, after pandemic, they open a lot of retreat centers. There are a lot of offer about retreat with different type of yoga methods, like Wim Hof method. There's a lot of moving about that. And yes, it's growing. Fortunately, I think people know that what they need it for life.
Yeah, they do. I'm glad that there's more and more growth there, not just in the psychology world, but in the yoga world as well. And for those of our listeners who maybe don't know that much about Argentina, or maybe they've dreamed of visiting it, would you tell our listeners more about your beautiful country?
Buenos Aires, especially, it's very European city. So you will find a very good food here. But in Argentina, we got different places. If you go south, you got Bariloche, all the Patagonia, which is like Switzerland. On the north, we got the mountains with different colors. We got beaches with, is it a cold sea? But nice still. We got so many places to go to the beach. And also you can go to south for skiing. So it's a mix. You never get bored here. You always have something to do, to explore. I don't know, the music, food, places, going out. It's beautiful. I like it a lot. When I was 22, now I'm 44. When I was 22, I live in US, and but I decided to come back. I miss my country a lot because of the mix, but for my family, of course. But it's really nice place to visit. So just let me know, Lily, when you wanna come.
Thank you. I will. Oh, it would be a dream. Thank you for that. I will definitely take you up on that, Corey. And for our listeners who want to get in touch with you or have a question or want to learn more about you, I'm going to share your website and your Instagram in the show notes and on my website, wildyogatribe.com. But would you like to tell our listeners here, on the show how they can find you?
Yes, I got my Instagram, which is Mind Love, and you can find me with my name, Cori Giunti, CoriGiunti, and I'll be glad to be in touch with all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Corey, for being on the show with me today. It's been such a joy to be with you.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. My conversation with Cori Giunti, a yoga teacher from Argentina, was so touching as we took a deep dive into the spiritual world of Kundalini yoga and the world of mental health. I hope that this conversation made you curious about the mind-body connection and about how yoga can help you process trauma, psychological issues, or anything else emotional you're working through. Thank you for listening to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Be well. Thank you for the gift of your attention today. If you feel called, please share this episode with someone who you think could benefit from it. Leaving a review would also be so appreciated. I also hope you can join me online on my website, wildyogatribe.com, or on social media. I would love to get to know you better. I would love to share with you and to hear your thoughts. Send me a DM, send me a note, get in touch. It would be great to hear from you. And as always, be well, dear one, be well.